What's going on, guys? Welcome back. I got something here that I'm pretty dang excited about. We got a welder. So, BestArc sent this over, and I've never owned my own welder before. I'm excited to try this thing out and see what we think. So I better make this clear right off the bat. If you're looking for a review video that compares like this kind of a welder, this brand or anything, to any other welder ever, then I'm not your guy and this isn't your video. This would be more like if you're interested in learning if it's possible to order a welder off of Amazon and figure out how to do it by yourself with very minimal experience or first time experience, then this might be a video for you because we're gonna try this out for the first time. I have very little welding experience. I welded for a couple of years in high school. So that's about the extent of my experience, and I graduated in 2017. And I haven't welded since then. So we're gonna unbox it. I'm gonna show you what's inside and everything that comes with it. Then I'm gonna practice with it a little bit, and then I'll kind of show you what I've learned, and then we'll get into a project that I need to fix on the truck, something pretty simple. So now that I've probably slaughtered my audience retention by telling everyone that I have very little welding experience, for those that are left, let's open this thing up and see what's in the box, because honestly, I don't really know what to expect from it. Alright, so here it is. That is small. Very small. Okay, rest of that's just the box. I knew it was going to be pretty compact, but that is tiny. So if it works, that will be pretty sweet. That's like pretty dang portable. And I already made it clear that I won't be doing crazy projects and like intense stuff. So like if this is kind of like a small, carry it around, fix something every once in a while, maybe do a few smaller projects type of welder, and as long as it can do that okay, then I'm gonna be happy with it. I don't need some massive welder that takes up a bunch of room and is really expensive. For me, I don't anyway. But okay, got everything out of the box here. And then this looks to me like it's obviously the stick portion. So that's kind of your standard clamp for the electrodes that you would then pop one of those in. And then what's attached to it now, it looks like your standard wire fed MIG portion. So that should be good there. Looks like you have kind of both options there. And then here is your 110 plug. We got some different tips here. Okay, and then it does actually come with some wire. That was the thing I was worried about. I was able to pick some other stuff up at the store, but I wasn't sure whether or not I needed to buy a spool of wire. So that is very nice that it comes with that, because that can give you, I'm not sure how long one of these lasts because I know nothing about this, but that's convenient that you have some to start with there. So overall impressions, pretty cool. Like that is super light, portable, really small. So that's honestly about the extent of what I got to show you here. I won't drag it on for forever. I'm going to kind of get some practice with it and kind of go from there. I might as well show you this right now. My old welding gloves that I had laying around are like so burnt. They're like stiff and rigid. So I picked up some new ones at Harbor Freight. The Vulcan Defender gloves for MIG welding specifically. And then I also picked up this Chicago Electric welding helmet at Harbor Freight. It was like 40 bucks, and it was the cheapest one that still had auto dimming. I remember in high school, the only ones that they supplied us with were just like the ones that are already super dark. So you're like trying to start your arc and you literally just can't see anything at all until it starts going. So it'll be really nice to have an actual auto dimming one, and it was only 40 bucks, so it's not like one of the crazy expensive ones. And I assume this will be about all I need if it's just kind of just like a hobby slash project welding that I'll be doing. So it's been a little while since I filmed the initial unboxing of the welder, and so we're back here to kind of finish this video out. Initially I had a bracket that was broken on my truck, and I was going to use that as the piece that we filmed in order to test this out, to kind of do it in a real world project. I took the bracket off the truck, realized it was aluminum, so that wasn't going to work. This isn't set up for TIG welding how it is right now, so we needed to stick with steel. So I'm gonna whip out a different kind of project, something that sounded kind of fun to me. Every once in a while I take a Dutch oven with me in order to cook like peach cobbler and some stuff when I wanna be a little bit fancier and use more than just my propane stove. So I thought that I would weld up a Dutch oven trivet. So pretty much I'm just gonna use some old rebar that I have out back, and I'm gonna kind of make a triangle shape with some legs. That way I can take my Dutch oven here, and then when it's in the fire, sometimes it's really hard to get coals underneath these since they sit so low. So the trivet, all it will do, it'll just be a little bit of a stand that holds this a little bit higher when you have it in the fire, so that you can actually get some coals and some flames under there for the few times that I use a Dutch oven to cook when camping. Also, I thought it might be a little boring if I was just doing some test welds on some scrap metal, so I figured this would be a little project that kind of has somewhat of an outcome and can actually be useful. So I'm gonna go cut up that rebar. I'll show you kind of what we got going on, and we'll weld this up and test out the welder. This is my scrap piece of rebar here. It's like super bent, so I'm gonna do my best to bend it back into shape and then also just cut it where it's straight. I just cleaned it up a little bit with my grinder. It's not great, but I also don't need this to be perfect. I'm gonna cut it all into sections. So I'm doing 3 sections that are at 8 inches for the triangle, some at 4 inches for the legs, and then some 1.5 inch pieces for the bottom of the legs. So here's the triangle part. I just cut 3 pieces at 8 inches, and then one side is just flush, and then one side is kind of a 45-degree angle. That way they can kind of line up like that, and then each side connects a little bit better so that the weld has a little bit more connection than if they were just a flat spot. Also, I got this whole idea from another guy that made one of these on YouTube. I'll link his video in the description because he deserves the credit on how this was made and the dimensions and stuff. So now I'm gonna cut the 3 legs, and I'm gonna cut them at 4 inches each. For anyone wondering, this is just my M18 Milwaukee circular saw, and I do have a Diablo steel blade on here so that it cuts this a lot better, and it's a lot safer than using a wood blade. I've got the welder set up now. All the pieces are cut. Got everything set up and ready to go. So now I'm just gonna tack weld this triangle together, and we're just gonna put this welder to use, and I'll show you how some of these welds come out and how they turn out and how it looks. All right, I've got it tacked up, so now I'm just gonna throw some better welds on here, the best that I can do anyway, and then the triangle will be done. So here's the top piece all done. So I just welded all 3 corners together, and then I used my grinder to just kind of even them off, make them look prettier, and give kind of a flat surface for the legs to go on. So now 3 legs will just get welded on like that. So my original plan was to add some feet to this as well. So I was gonna do these little 2-inch pieces right here. But I actually like how well it fits inside of the Dutch oven right now, because I'm not too worried about it sinking into the fire. I think that'll be okay if those legs sink just a little bit. And how it is right now, it actually fits into the Dutch oven, and the lid can still go on, and I like that I can be able to transport it in there like that and not have to have this take up room somewhere else. So I think I'm just gonna stick with that. I'm gonna do a little bit more work with the grinder and just clean it up just a little bit more. so that it looks just a little bit nicer, and then I'll show you the finished product here. Here it is all finished up. Try and do my best to get it to focus on it here. Turned out pretty good. Once you grind it all down and grind out my crappy welds, it doesn't look so bad. But it's super strong, pretty robust piece here, and I didn't pay anything because this was just a scrap piece of rebar I had, and rebar is super cheap compared to any other type of steel. So there you go. So you can use that for your Dutch oven. The welds turned out great. Like this, I'll give you my final thoughts on the welder in a second, but I'm really happy with how this little thing turned out. So I kind of explained it at the beginning, but the whole point of this thing is to give your Dutch oven a rest here. This is a pretty big, this is a 12-inch Dutch oven by Camp Chef, and it has little legs on the bottom, but they're not long enough if you're trying to put it in a fire. That's the whole point of doing a triangle as well, is because those legs can kind of just work around that, sit on top of that, and it gives you a spot where coals and stuff can kind of sit on the bottom. So I'm kind of filthy from all that, but don't mind that. So let's give you some final thoughts on this welder. Again, I mentioned before, I'm a total noob at this, have not a whole lot of experience, but for this price, if you wanted to really get into welding, and whether it's super casual and you're building Camp Chef Dutch oven stuff like this out of rebar, or if you're like fabricating bumpers and stuff on your truck, I think it's a pretty good value for what it offers to be able to do some regular MIG welding with the gun, and then you also are able to do some stick welding, and then if you buy the right accessories, you can do some TIG welding, which is pretty difficult but would be pretty cool. So I also love that it runs off of 110 volt, so you don't have to have any adapters for 220. It just works simple, and for someone like me who doesn't know what he's doing, I don't want to spend a whole lot of money on it, and I just want it to work really easy and for it to be simple. And this machine has been all that. The buttons are super simple to understand, to toggle between the different modes. The instructions told me exactly where to plug stuff in and how to use it. And if you just watch a few YouTube videos on how to weld, you can at least get going and get started on doing some simple projects like this. Again, I know this was a very silly project, kind of as practical as it is. It was more just a test to show that the welds could actually hold up and could actually perform, that the welder could actually do that. So in the future, I might end up doing some more ambitious projects on the truck. Who knows, maybe bumpers and all sorts of crazy stuff you can do. But I'm not to that skill level yet, so this was kind of just to give you an idea of how this might work. But super happy with this. I haven't tested it against a ton of other budget options. I know there's other good options as well, but I've been happy with this one. So you saw that, so maybe it's worth, if you're looking into something like this, picking it up. I'll leave links in the description for their website and for on Amazon where you can pick this up. Thanks for watching, you guys, and appreciate you sticking around. Subscribe to the channel. Catch you next time.